When I was younger, I hated the concept of boredom. And to be fair to my childhood self, I think most kids do, whether they realize it or not. To me, boredom meant long, endless car journeys that just seemed to drag on forever. Boredom meant rainy days where I couldn't go outside and play. In my mind, boredom simply meant the absence of fun. And technically, I was correct. According to the Oxford Dictionary, boredom is defined as a state of mind characterized by a lack of interest, stimulation, or challenge. And on a surface level, this is correct. Think of a time you've been bored. Maybe you've been stuck in a lesson just before lunch and all you can think about is what you're going to have to eat. Or maybe you've been stuck in a meeting at the end of a particularly long day and it just seems irrelevant to you. Now, these moments, what do they have in common? You're not focused on the present. You're thinking about what happens next, and you're waiting for something more interesting to happen. Boredom, as we understand it, is empty time. But what if it isn't empty? Today, I want to propose a new definition for the word. What if boredom isn't the lack of stimulation, but the experience of sitting with your thoughts in the present moment? Because true boredom, the type where you're really alone with your own mind, has become an almost extinct experience. We live in a world where silence is optional, where waiting no longer feels like waiting because we can fill up the time. The moment we feel even slightly uncomfortable, we scroll, we tap, and we refresh. The world is designed so that boredom barely has a chance to exist. And at first, this might sound like progress. But if we eliminate boredom, we may also be eliminating something else: creativity. Creativity needs space. Imagination needs stillness. Ideas don't appear when our brains are focused on something else. They appear when we stop. If we fill up every spare second, when does the mind have the time to wonder, to create, and to reflect? And that led me to my own experience, which first made me question this. When I was younger, my family and I used to take a yearly trip to Cornwall. It was the highlight of my summer and something I looked forward to every single year. However, to get there, I had to survive a 5-hour car journey. And on bad traffic days, this could stretch to 7 or even 8 hours. So at the time, I didn't have a phone. All I had was my tiny iPod with a list of my favorite songs downloaded. For the first few hours, this was enough. I'd sit in the back seat, bopping along to my favorite tracks again and again. But soon, the music wasn't enough. I became restless. The songs weren't distracting me anymore. I was bored. And so I did the only thing that was left to do. I stared out of the window. And soon something interesting started to happen. My imagination took over. The trees outside became alive and chased me down the motorway with my stolen treasure. The clouds became characters in some dramatic event that was unfolding in the sky. If it was raining, the droplets would race each other down the window. I would silently cheer for the winners and feel oddly disappointed for the losers. In my mind, they had entire lives, entire families, and entire backstories. And without realizing it, I wasn't just passing time. I was creating. Looking back now, I realize that these moments weren't empty at all. They were creative. Boredom was training my imagination to entertain myself. It was teaching me how to think independently and how to create my own ideas. And this made me wonder, if I had had a screen in my hand the entire time, would I have ever made up those stories? Would I have ever given my ideas space to grow? And that led me to rethink something we rarely question. Why are we so afraid to be bored? When a child says, "I'm bored," we treat it as a problem that must be solved. We rush to find a distraction to entertain them, and with the many distractions shoved in our faces every single day, this is an easy fix. Whether it's a game, a phone, or social media, entertainment is never more than a few taps away. And this issue is not only prevalent in children. We do it ourselves. The moment we're waiting in a queue, or sitting in public transport, or even walking somewhere alone, we instinctively reach into our pockets for our phones. It's almost automatic. We entertain ourselves not because we need to, but because we simply feel uncomfortable. In a world where we're constantly consuming information, notifications, opinions from people we don't even care about, games, videos, and music, space has become rare. We are so used to constant stimulation that even a few seconds of silence feels strange. Our brains are always processing, always reacting. We are always distracted. Perhaps boredom feels so uncomfortable nowadays, not because it's a bad thing, but because we're simply not used to it. So, by now, I'm sure you're all wondering what actually happens when we are bored. A common misconception is that your brain shuts off. This is not true. What actually happens is your brain switches into a different mode, which is closely linked to daydreaming, reflection, and creativity. This mental state is the reason why we all have those life-changing ideas in the shower, or why you might randomly solve a problem whilst not directly thinking about it. When your brain isn't focused on constant input, it starts to connect your thoughts in new ways. It starts to imagine new possibilities and connect past conversations without you realizing it. If we remove every second of silence in our lives, we remove the opportunity for this kind of thinking to happen. Without boredom, there's no daydreaming. Without daydreaming, there's less imagination. And without imagination, it is that much harder to create a new idea. We often think of productivity as constantly doing a motion. But there's another kind of productivity that we don't talk about, the kind that happens internally, when we allow our minds to wander. So, what do I want you to remember? Remember that boredom isn't the absence of progress, but the beginning of creativity. And so, now I've told you how important boredom can be, how can you respond to it? I want to make it clear that I'm not saying all entertainment is bad and can never be used. Technology can connect us and educate us. Going to see a film with a friend can help strengthen that relationship. But it's also important to remember to take those little moments to stop, to pause, and to take a break from the craziness of everyday life. At first, it might feel uncomfortable. Your brain might search for things to distract yourself with, but soon your mind will begin to settle, will begin to wander. Sometimes boredom pushes you to reflect on things you've been avoiding. Sometimes it helps you process emotions. And sometimes it simply gives your brain the breathing space it needs. When we stop constantly consuming, we give ourselves space to create new ideas. And that leads me on to my final message. Don't be afraid to be bored. It doesn't matter how old you are. You don't need constant entertainment every minute of the day. Boredom isn't a sign that nothing is happening. It's often a sign that your brain is about to start creating something new. So, today I challenge you. The next time you feel bored, don't instantly reach for a form of distraction. Just give yourself 10 minutes. Go for a walk, preferably without headphones. Sit quietly in your room. Write down whatever comes into your mind, or draw something, even if it's not perfect. Or simply give your brain space to breathe. Because those quiet moments might be where your next best idea comes from. We're so keen to avoid boredom. We believe it's empty time. But maybe it isn't empty. Maybe it's where your best ideas are waiting. Thank you.